three sessions today, and we started yesterday evening with two different sessions. We had a session on presenting our habitat research and recommendations, and we got a response from EU policymakers. We had a very fruitful discussion during this session, and we then continued with session 2 on financing residential energy efficiency of low-income households and multi-apartment buildings in Central and Eastern Europe. We got a very good board of speakers also for this session. We had good presentations and followed by a discussion also. And today we are ready with 3 more sessions. We will have a session starting just in a few minutes on community mobilization. We will be presenting REELIH project and a couple of other projects that are working with communities to alleviate energy poverty in different settings. We will then continue with a session on EU policies and their implementation on national level. And we will wrap up the second day and the final day of REELIH conference with a session on improving homeowners associations legislation, and this will be followed by a short wrap-up by Andrew Popelka and Besim Nebiu. And just before we start the third session today, I would like to show you and introduce you our new project video about REELIH project. And we are very happy that we became part of Building Communities campaign. This is a campaign produced by BBC Storyworks in cooperation with Housing Europe. It started in September and it is running for a year on social media. And the campaign basically aims to raise awareness of the housing crisis and the need for an action plan across Europe. It recognizes the very different approaches and initiatives across the continent. It brings understanding to the complex environment of housing, encouraging the various components to work in harmony from architecture, constructions and planning to business and governance and financing. Housing associations and organizations are innovative and radical in their thinking, with many success stories across Europe to be shown. And that's the reason why BBC and Housing Europe put this campaign together. And they are going with the key message of the campaign that says beyond the negative headlines, there are positive stories. And one of the positive stories is also a REELIH project that we have been implementing now for more than 9 years in 3 countries, in Bosnia and Herzegovina, in Armenia, and in North Macedonia. And actually in North Macedonia, our video was filmed during the summer, and this is where I would like to thank also to Habitat for Humanity Macedonia and to USAID for really putting this together and for encouraging us and supporting us in production of the video. And our video basically addresses the challenges tackled in the environment of residential building sector and in its energy efficiency in Central and Eastern Europe and in specific in North Macedonia. It is part of this BBC series, and it is showcasing the good work done under REELIH project in creation of enabling environment for homeowners to improve the quality of their dwellings and lives. So now I will stop talking and give floor for the video to be played.
About 2/3 of the buildings in Skopje were built between the 50s and the 80s, a period where we were part of the socialist world, and they were state-built, owned and maintained. This all dramatically changed in '91, where most of the tenants who lived in these buildings got to privatize them for very little money. The tenants here were then left with an issue which drags on to this day, how to maintain and manage this property.
Ovdje živim od 1982 godina. Pa koga se vselivme, ta godina zgradата беше пак relativno dobro održuvana, та и армията си имаше свои екипи кои ја одржуваа зградата. Со распадот на Југославија, значи армијата се повлече и комплетното после одржување на целокупната инфраструктура во зградава се падна на грбот на станариве кои живеат тука.
There are about 12,000 of these buildings that are in need of renovation. That is a lot of investment that is required in a country which doesn't have the means and the capacity to support refurbishment of 12,000 buildings.
In this region, energy poverty is a big issue. We know that housing is a problem, but we also know that energy efficient housing is a problem. So this project addresses that in an affordable and sustainable way. USAID and Habitat for Humanity, since 2011, have partnered on the Regional Energy Efficiency for Low-Income Households project here in North Macedonia. And after that, it spread to other countries in the region.
I to je prva zgrada renovirana na тој начин. Па добро, на почеток имаше, луѓето се уште веруваат дека некој ќе дојде да им поправи нешто во зградава. Пада парчиња од таа фасада и постоеше опасност дори да некој настрада доле кога ќе паднат. Тоа беше хорор ситуација. Искршени врата, стакла, лифтовите час работат, час не работат. И така стапивме во контакт преку општината, значи преку општината со Хабидат, и они се сложија да го финансираат замената на прозорците во зграда со кредит кој го одобрија на 2 години.
Mile's building is very big. It has 110 apartments, and the bigger the building, the more difficult it is to make a decision to renovate the building, because basically all tenants have to come together. Mile was instrumental in putting together these tenants. He worked with all sides of the spectrum, and we were able to finally reach a decision. And that's exactly what it takes to renovate these apartments.
2008 година, кога се заврши промената на прозориве и фасадата, кога се направи, ние го тоа осетивме преку сметките за парно грејање. Ајде да така кажеме, значи некои 30% пониски сметки за парно грејање. Во меѓувреме, пошто зградава е стара, а има равен кров горе, почна протекување на горните станари. Значи, мал дожд протече доле, со помош на Хабидат поставиме кров горе како не би доаѓало до такви последици. Си стои тука, затворено, нема више протекување.
There are multiple benefits to renovating apartment buildings. You will also be contributing less to the pollution, because the housing sector is one of the contributors to both CO2 emissions but also to the local pollutants, especially if you use wood for heating but also some of the other fuels. So you will address an environmental issue by renovating the housing stock.
Here in North Macedonia, the partnership has worked to refurbish at least 62 residential buildings in 8 municipalities. The project is replicable, it increases energy efficiency and the affordability of houses. So what we encourage other development partners to do is to adopt the model so that we can reach even more citizens in more countries across the region.
Тоа е основата, значи да луѓето сватат дека зградава не е ни моја, ни ваша, ни на овој, ни на оној, него е на сите нас таа зграда, и за таа зграда мора да водиме сметка. Луѓето помалку сватија, мислам, требаше стварно долго време, сватија дека зградава е заеднички дом.
It's so sad to see that many people in this country still have to live in what are basically substandard living conditions in the multi-apartment sector, especially knowing that these are problems that have a solution. This makes us even more committed to addressing these challenges.
Okay, so welcome back to our streaming of the second day of the REELIH conference. I hope that you liked our video. You can find it also on our project website, getwarmhomes.org, or on YouTube of Housing Europe, or on BBC Storyworks website. And now I won't take much more of your time, and we can start with the session 3 of this conference. And now I give floor to Knut Holler, who will lead us through this session, and I welcome you here.
Thank you very much, Ludmila. Welcome to the third session of the REELIH Regional Conference, Community Mobilization, REELIH and Other Best Practices. My name is Knut Höller. I'm sitting here in Berlin and have the honor of moderating this roundtable. I represent the NGO Housing Initiative for Eastern Europe, which was founded exactly 20 years ago. Thank you to Habitat for Humanity, the organizers of these eventful days, and welcome to the virtual audience in Europe. And to our 5 speakers who are here today to present their work and experiences on this topic. This session will focus on best practices in the fight against energy poverty. We are looking in particular at the southeast part of Europe, where this issue is very relevant, and it is in other parts, as it is in other parts of Eastern Europe. In this region, expenditures on heat and energy is very high in relation to household income. In European statistic, this is often 10% or even more. Energy poverty is therefore not an isolated phenomenon, but widespread. Energy efficient refurbishment, especially of owner-occupied apartment buildings, seems to be the key to reduce energy poverty. How does this refurbishment process get going? How are owners interested and picked up? This we would like to discuss in our session. It's my pleasure to welcome our speakers who will enable us to dive deeper into the questions and challenges related to our session topic. Let me briefly introduce each of them at the beginning now, and I apologize in advance for keeping it short to have as much as time as possible for our presentations and our exchange afterwards. However, please, all of you, do add any further information or background, of course, when presenting. I will start with Peter Tasic. He is consultant in energy efficiency and renewable energy sources at Enova in Bosnia-Herzegovina. Peter is a consultant for energy efficiency and renewable energies with a long-standing knowledge in this field. Enova is a multidisciplinary development consulting company based in Sarajevo with more than 15 years of experience in environment, energy, and economic development studies. Peter will give us an overview of REELIH activities in Bosnia-Herzegovina. Peter, welcome. We look forward to learning more. Juliana Alcheva, Deputy Director, Program at Habitat for Humanity Macedonia. Juliana presents Habitat for Humanity Macedonia, where she has been Deputy Director since 2009, working on the development of the program portfolio and fundraising. Juliana graduated from the University St. Cyril and Methodius in Skopje and holds a master's degree in organizational management and a PhD in sociology. Her areas of expertise include project cycle and organizational management, social inclusion, local development, and advocacy. She also worked at the Macedonian Center for International Cooperation and the UNDP County Office in Macedonia, among other positions. Welcome, Juliana. Svetlana Slesaryanok from Ukraine, Odessa. Svetlana works at the Odessa Housing Union Associations in Ukraine and will put us in the picture of energy poverty in the country and how one key to reduce it in energy renovation of buildings. She will present the project COMACT on community-tailored actions for energy poverty mitigation, which is founded under Horizon 2020. Svetlana, we are glad to hear you, and I'm happy to see you again. Julien Dillol. Julien is Deputy Secretary General and Policy Director at Brussels-based Housing Europe. In this position, he is also responsible drafting the position papers of the organization. He coordinates the work of all Housing Europe committees and their interaction with Brussels EU institutions. Housing Europe is active in a lot of relevant projects and activities, of which Julian will present, among others, the Power Poor project on joint energy initiatives to empower energy poor citizens. Welcome, and we look forward to your presentation, Julian. And last but not least, Gergely Schum, project manager at Energia Club in Hungary. Gergely is an experienced business developer and project manager in the field of real estate and securities investment industry, working at the Budapest-based Climate Policy Institute Energia Club in Hungary. The aim of Gergely's and Energia Club's work is to motivate a rational use of dwindling resources and economy-based and diverse local resources and a change in energy-wasting consumer habits. Germany is involved in the Horizon 2020 Reno Hub project on integrated services to boost energy renovation in Hungarian homes, and will give us an insight into its goals and specific approach. Welcome also to Germany. We are glad about your contribution. So this is our excellent round of speakers, and I'm happy now to give the floor to Peter for the first presentation in our session.
Thank you very much, Knut. My name is Petar Tasic, and I will give you just a brief overview of key facts about experience with REELIH project in Bosnia and Herzegovina. We can go to the next slide. The project started in 2015 and covered much of Bosnia. It covered 3 cantons, Tuzla, Goraž, and Central Bosnia, 1 city, Doboj, and entire municipality of Sarajevo Center. That's most of these are relatively high urban level, have urban levels. It covered approximately 3,000 buildings, also approximately 4.3 million of square meters of living space, and approximately 260,000 residents. In these old buildings, we found very different ways of organizing owners and residents and tenants. Situation is quite complex, especially because there are different parts of Bosnia, and I will give more details if necessary later through the discussion. So one of most important numbers are that approximate savings could be achieved are approximately 70%. Current state is such that it can be saved approximately 225 gigawatt hours of heat energy per year. Unfortunately, most of that heat energy comes from coal and firewood, and reduction of CO2 emission can be significant, approximately 75,000 tons per year. We found several challenges for implementation of energy efficiency measures. Most of them are connected actually with either law or people. For start, we do not have homeowner associations, not everywhere, and they are not legally recognized. Most of buildings have no chosen maintenance companies. There are many different reasons for that. I can elaborate that in discussion. And in some cities, some towns, there are some buildings that are almost without any residents. That's another problem. The problem that actually is common with many states, with many residents, the district heating is built per square meter. That's the old problem, and not per actual consumption. And we have another problem that actually wraps everything. Banks do not offer affordable loans, either for residents or any other organization. It's a bit complicated to elaborate that, but maybe later. However, it's not all so black. We also have 70 buildings that are fully renovated in last 5 years. Approximately 200 partially renovated. Maybe some of these have been financed by owners, some of them by municipalities. Generally, they provided really strong support for organizing residents and covering some of the costs. However, interesting, residents really tend to self-organize and implement measures, even at their own expenses, if benefits are explained and understood. And we have one building that actually was pilot for this kind of implementation. These are some of buildings. I just put few photos that are renovated. Unfortunately, I later saw that this one is not renovated. I mean, it's old photo. However, the rest I will explain in discussion, because there are many details I'd like to share with you. These are just key points, and Thank you very much for this attention.
Thank you very much, Peter. We just have a look on the photos you are providing us, and then our next speaker, Juliana, may step in.
Thank you. My name is Liliana Alcheva, and I'm a Deputy Director of Habitat for Humanity Macedonia. And here I have a pleasure to share with you our experience working with the multifamily apartment buildings and supporting the homeowners in reducing the energy poverty, and how we are doing that. And in this presentation, I will share that with you. Actually, in the presentation, I will focus mostly on the community mobilization for energy efficiency and try to give you a whole picture of all activities that Habitat Macedonia is implementing to support the homeowners in multifamily apartment buildings. So during the past 12 years, Habitat Macedonia is creating a comprehensive system to support homeowners in multi-apartment buildings. The main focus on our efforts is to give a full support to the homeowners and directly or indirectly help them to overcome and or prevent an energy poverty. My presentation is only with pictures, and I will speak. Let's leave on this slide while I am explaining the situation with the housing sector in Macedonia, which is very similar with what Peter explained before. There are a surplus of dwellings, almost 130,000 surplus. That are mainly in the rural areas, and they are not inhabited. And one of the biggest problems in Macedonia is maintenance of the existing housing stock. It is very complicated, having in mind that 98% of the apartments in the multifamily apartment buildings are privately owned. And once you have to deal something with the building, you have to deal with many different stakeholders in that area. Other important thing is that only 11.8% of total households are connected to district heating, and of course they are billing on per meter square, not per consumed energy. And district heating exists only in the capital, in Skopje. Habitat Macedonia is implementing different energy efficiency programs to support household, and one of those activities is a central register that is a kind of register of multifamily apartment buildings that is designed, and it is actually prescribed by the housing law, but is designed and developed by ourselves. And in this register of multifamily apartment buildings, we have more than 3,000 apartments registered, and it's a significant source of information for further activities. So how we are targeting this sector? First of all, we are working with the training. Ludmila, please go to the next slide. One of the most important things is the training for the young people, and actually we were doing practical and theoretical training for high school students, and through our support it was designed a training curricula which is for the technical high schools, where high school students can learn more about energy efficiency. And of course we are offering our objects when we are doing refurbishment of energy efficiency of the buildings to come and do some practical work. The most important thing on the next slide is the working with the Homeowners Association. We have developed 6 different financial models to support homeowners and established the Energy Efficiency Revolving Fund. and working with the homeowners is the main activity that is very important. During the socialism, the homeowner associations or the homeowners and the buildings were managed by the state or the companies who owned the building. And now it's a big problem of the awareness among the homeowners how to maintain the existing buildings. So we are organizing training for the homeowners, and also on the next slide is shown a direct support to the homeowners with the meetings, especially when we are implementing the financial models in cooperation with the local self-government units. I will explain more about this model later on during the discussion. What is also very important is to increase the awareness and include the scientific academic community into the activities for energy efficiency. And you can see that on the next slide, we are organizing a lot of roundtables and debates. We also formed a so-called stakeholder advisory group where prominent people with different background are sitting together and talking and discussing on issues of energy efficiency for multi-family apartment buildings. Conference and forums on the next slide are also very important because the people from the state institutions are present there, and this type of activities are raising interest among the general public. The media are covering these meetings because when you have a politician on your event, all the media can come. These pictures, most of these pictures are from the investor forum that was organized in 2015. And in that investor forum, it was presented that investment potential in the multifamily apartment buildings in Macedonia is between $300,000 and $500,000 million. So it is a big catch for all interested parties to get involved into the process of energy efficiency of multifamily apartment buildings. One of our main activities, how to sensitize the public, the general public in Macedonia, is the publication, studies, and other information that are available on our webpage and are distributed to the interested parties. And also including economic community, a business community into the process. We were organizing a training for entrepreneurs. Even they are well educated engineers, managers, etc. So the specificity of energy efficiency is important, and we are organizing this type of training for this particular target group. I will just briefly focus on the online resource center, which is one of our activities started with the project improving, also financed by USAID, improving energy efficiency for the low-income household in 2014. It is a web page where interested people can find a lot of information about the energy efficiency. And here I would like to announce that in early December, we will promote the special web tool designed in the frame of a REELIH project about the location of the buildings which are in our register, and a lot of information about energy efficiency and construction characteristics of the buildings. And the last but not the least, on the last slide, I will show you our cooperation and PR activities. One of the most interesting things here is the cooperation with the Chamber of Commerce, the cooperation with the ministries. On the picture on the right corner down, there is an American ambassador who was volunteering on our construction site in Veles. And there is I would like to mention here that Habitat Macedonia is supporting an interparliamentarian group of parliament members who are promoting housing and energy efficiency of housing. So all this scope of activities in a different areas with a different stakeholders is very important to have to achieve our main goals, which is the better energy efficiency of households who are living in multifamily apartment buildings. Thank you. I hope I was not too long.
Thank you very much, Juliana. It was not too long. Thank you. Very interesting. And now I would like to give the floor to Svetlana Slesarenok. Best regards to Odessa.
Hi. Hi to everyone. I represent here. Everyone hear me? I represent here Association Odessa Housing Union, which in this year is celebrating its 20th anniversary and COMACT project. Next, please. The country in the Central and Eastern European region and in the former Soviet Union republics, including neighboring EU country like Ukraine, have the most energy poor people in Europe. The COMACT project, this is short name of this project, and normal long name of project is Community Tailored Actions for Energy Poverty Mitigation, is focusing in these regions. The COMACT project aims is to make high impact, high cost, energy efficient improvements in multi-family apartment buildings in these regions affordable and manageable for energy poor community, as well as to create the necessary assistance condition for lifting them out of energy poverty. Odessa Housing Union is implementing COMACT project in Ukraine. I would like to tell the COMACT project is realized by 10 NGOs in 9 countries from Central and Eastern Europe. Association Odessa Housing Union unite more than 600 homeowner association of Odessa region, which are who member and are paying the membership fee. Next, please. Next, please. Okay, here you can see our regular bulletin, which we send to each our member, to each of from 600 homeowner association. Next, please. We yes, we started from the activity when Odessa Housing Union disseminated information about the COMACT project to more than 600 homeowner association and housing building cooperatives by using our bulletin, which you see on previous page. People read it, this information about COMACT project, and 50 Odessa housing owner association and building cooperatives declared their willingness to participate in the COMACT project. For Ukraine is normal situation when one housing owner association is managing from 2 to 8 buildings, and these 50 housing owner association and building cooperatives are managing in 58 buildings. From which we started. Our Odessa Housing Union expert, together with activists and representatives of these buildings, collected and analyzed information about energy consumption of each of buildings in 2018 in 2020. Also, thermography and technical inspection was carried out in all 58 buildings. We investigated a lot of things, very interesting. Unexpected for us, it was there is a lot of things which can be done on this building without any need for money for some special investigation, for some technical solution, only to do small thing without any payment. It was the result that head of this homeowner association have no special knowledge which can be provided by association. The place where housing owner association and building cooperatives representatives involved expert representative of local authority and Ukrainian energy efficiency fund can discuss the results of this investigation, the energy situation in the building, and a lot of other things. Is Energy Advice Resource Center. Next, please. On August 4th, the Energy Advice Resource Opening Ceremony, Resource Center Opening Ceremony was held in Odessa. I should tell that, of course, such organization like Association, Odessa Housing Union, in the previous time also had own resource center. But COMACT project redirected us to the new area, and this area is increasing energy efficiency of our building. In the ceremony participated three deputy of Odessa City Council, head of Tariff Policy Department of Odessa City Council, representative of the Energy Efficiency Fund of Ukraine, representative of Odessa's homeowner association and building cooperative media. Next, please. Here you can see the third page of certificate which we passed to each of building which was investigated on the first stage. When we make thermography, when we investigated buildings visually from downstairs till the roof, and when we analyzed the consumption, and each of building received such certificate. Next, please. After opening ceremony, the workshop of exchanging information was held. The first 12 buildings received certificate, which I presented on previous page. On October, in Energy Advice Resource Center, held a series of trainings for energy consultants, which covered the following area. You can read it. I don't want to take your time. I only would like to tell that after end of my presentation, you will see short video about training in Odessa Resource Center. And here's next, please. This is only picture how our young energy auditors are making thermography in Odessa. In Odessa, to make thermography is very difficult because we have not too much days with crazy and with cold temperature, and it is necessary for energy audit. But we found these days in Odessa, and we make. And now, thank you that you hear my short presentation. And after my presentation, you will see a short video.
Yeah, thank you, Svetlana, for your interesting presentation and also for your very long-lasting efforts in Odessa. 20 years already. We are very happy to have you also on board of the COMEC project as a partner outside of the European Union, and that we can work together in this very important field, I think, also for Ukraine. Let's now continue with Julian Dijol from Housing Europe, and he will present us another project with regard to energy poverty, the Power Poor project, and the floor is yours, Julian.
Thank you, Knut. I will be happy to indeed illustrate what I wanted to say with some slides. Looking at different aspects of the role of social housing in the broader conversation about community mobilization. As you know, I mean, social housing is a reality which is not so present in Eastern Europe, but there are some principles and features that you can find in Western Europe that are clearly also applicable and replicable in other contexts, including Southern and Eastern Europe. So that's why we wanted also to share our experience in that regard. Actually, I will start with the conclusion, which is that social housing, in whatever form, we can talk about non-for-profit housing, but it's about having an association, an entity who is managing affordable housing. So those entities are necessary for the green transition and decarbonization for many reasons. 3 reasons that I wanted to further dig today is, first of all, the question of the systemic approach, the question of the district approach, and the question of the socially sustainable approach. First, regarding the systemic approaches, it's important to understand that energy efficiency alone is not sufficient. And there's a very interesting graph, quite recent graph, which clearly illustrates what I say. if you look at the reduction of energy consumption, and if you look at the increase of energy efficiency since basically 2005, you will see a discrepancy between both lines. So it means that you may have great works in terms of energy efficiency, but the energy consumption will not be reduced as much as energy efficiency has increased. The reason why is that you have different factors that influence the energy consumption in a building. And another way to illustrate that comes from our members in Germany, which has looked at how much energy consumption has been reduced since 1990. And you see a reduction between 1990 and 2010 of 31%. And then since 2010, a kind of stagnation in relation to energy savings. So what has happened since 2010, which can explain that stagnation? One of the big answers is what we call rebound effect, which is actually a reality. The fact that people need to understand how to also use the buildings in where they live. And to combat this rebound effect and this behavioral perspective or element, social housing organization has provided very interesting solutions. One of them is what we call the district approach. So looking at different dimensions of the problem of decarbonization. So on the left side of this graph, it's the result of a kind of experiment, but it's a real life experiment in Germany, in Potsdam, where the social housing company has looked at different options and the impact on CO2 and also the impact on the rent. So we are talking about rental housing. And the best solution was the one which combined optimal insulation with the greening of the district heating. So the importance of looking at the system, the energy system, is very clear when we look at the reality and the real experience. On the right side, we see an example in Bordeaux, in France, about the use of PV generated electricity to cover the energy needs of social housing buildings that's been actually refurbished as well. So this is the concept of renewable self-consumption in the social housing sector. So the idea of combining the clean energy with the renovation of the buildings is very essential at the moment in the social housing sector. That was this district approach, and then we were talking about the socially sustainable approach before. And this is an example in Sweden of how turning basically how the refurbishment of the built environment has turned a neighborhood from a very deprived area into a place where people are proud to live in. And this is exactly what kind of thing that we are talking about today. It's not only about the impact on the environment, which is of course essential, but it's also how you do the whole transformation, which will be done with the residents and for the residents. I wanted to mention one specific project, which also very relevant for our discussion today, is in the Basque Country in Bilbao. It's relevant for discussion today because it's fundamentally is the question of how the local authority and the public housing company has managed to work with the private homeowners when in a building where there are a mixed tenure between the private homeowners and the social housing tenants, and how all the people have managed to work together through the setting up of a one-stop shop. So a physical place where people will be able to discuss, understand the different renovation options and how they're going to finance that. And I think it's very relevant for our discussion today. When we talk about the homeowners association, essentially we are talking about setting up an entity which will allow this discussion and about the different options. So that's very important. This is the ambition of Housing Europe related to the decarbonization and the renovation. Please feel free to have a look at our website. I will not dwell on too much on that. We don't have such amount of time. This also link to different websites where you can have information about the innovation in the sector, which we need also to scale up in Eastern European context. And non-for-profit housing associations are certainly the only one being able to scale up that kind of innovation in a year, also in a context of a strong home ownership sector. This is also an information regarding the Recovery and Resilience Facility and the fact that also in Eastern Europe, money has been provided by the European Union to refurbish and to invest in energy efficiency, including in the residential building sector. So yes, you will have the opportunity to have a further look. We're going to publish in very short time a publication, a report on that. But I want also to conclude by mentioning an important project which actually tackle one of the issues we mentioned before. The question behind the stagnation of the reduction of energy consumption, whether it's in Germany or in another context, the fact that we need to work with people on changing the behavior, on adapting the behavior to, in a way, deal with the rebound effect. The Power project is really about supporting or developing the support program for energy poor citizens and encourage change of behavior on the one hand, but also on the other hand, alternative financing schemes. Using, for instance, energy cooperatives, crowdfunding, or energy communities. So the point of this project is to work on those aspects in combination with the actual works and the actual renovation of buildings, although the project is not going to finance the renovation of buildings, but is going to finance the support for the change in behavior and a change in the way people talk about also the financing. So the project is centered around three things: what we call Power Target, which is the idea of identifying whether residents suffer from energy poverty; the Power Act, which is personalized suggestions for behavioral change and participation in funding programs; and the Power Target, which is a hub which is supposed to bring together different instruments and to increase the knowledge, but also to influence the policy making. And we're going to also develop the Energy Poverty Supporters Program, Community Mentors Program, and we're going to do that in pilot projects throughout Europe, in Latvia, Hungary, Bulgaria, Greece, Spain, and Portugal. So that's something that which also very important because it shows that you need to tackle, things from different perspectives. This is again the systemic approach I mentioned at the beginning. So to conclude, again, a systemic approach, district approach, a socially sustainable approach. That's how we need to go forward for the decarbonization, but also for a fair energy transition that will also increase the quality of life. And the lessons from the non-for-profit housing association in Western Europe is very important, and we need to find a way to replicate that in another context, including Southern and Eastern Europe and beyond. And we need the political support to set up the entities, including homeowners association, that will be able to promote those principles. So thank you very much, Knut, and happy to continue the conversation with you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Julian. You really very well pointed out in my mind the differences between these regions, Western Europe and Eastern Europe. And there are, of course, a lot of questions are spontaneously arising, so, especially what does it mean, social housing? Yeah, and can we look on a owner-occupied multifamily building also as a social housing building? Yeah, but let's come to this a little bit later, and first finish our presentation round, and I give the floor to Gergely Schum from Energia Club in Hungary to start his presentation.
Thank you, Knut. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Gergely Schum, project leader at Energia Club at Hungary, and I'm here on behalf of the RenoHub project, which is a Hungarian implementation of a one-stop shop model in Hungary, and I would love to talk more about this project and our work. Next slide, please. Yes, who we are, what we do. The consortium members, we are 5 of them, all Hungarian NGOs and non-profit ventures. We have 10, 20, 30 years of experience in single and multi apartment building renovations, energy efficiency issues. We have a broad network with municipalities, and we have experience in green financing. And we 5 together established the project under the Horizon 2020 program, which is called RenoHub, and our goal is to implement this one-stop shop model in Hungary. Next slide, please. Okay, next one. Just very quickly about the background in Hungary. The general conditions are not favorable for home energy renovations in Hungary. There are 3 main reasons for that. One of them is the lack of central approach. This means that the Hungarian government don't really have any big energy efficiency retrofits or refurbishment projects, and the Hungarian government don't really support this field very intensively. The second one is that the Hungarian government keeps the energy prices and the utility costs very low artificially for residential sectors. This means that basically the residents don't have they are not financially motivated to invest in renovations because of the long payback period. This is the second issue. And the third issue is that the poor financial status of the Hungarian homeowners. 70% of the residents don't have any financial savings, and many of them have already mortgages, which is a great barrier for this big scale and deep renovation projects. Next slide, please. What are the special barriers to renovation in multi-apartment buildings? As all of us know, that renovation in multi-apartment in Eastern Europe is not easy because of the many individuals and the many stakeholders and many residents. First of all, the money is a big problem. There are lack of savings, and lack of knowledge of savings options can also discourage renovations. The second one is information, because these multi-apartment buildings don't really have many information about how to start the renovation process, who are the experts, what to do, where to start. This is the second big issue. The third one is the organization, that, as you know, in Eastern Europe and also in Hungary, multi-apartment buildings work the way that they have a homeowners association, and they have a joint representatives, and all the flat owners have to agree on something first when they want to, for example, start a renovation process. And this is not easy to have everyone on board and to decide on whether to renovate, not to renovate, and when to renovate, then what to spend, how much money on what, insulate, not insulate, change the windows. So these are broad problems. And the fourth problem is that professional support, the lack of professional support. Not many companies or individuals know how to professionally manage such a renovation process. Thank you. Next slide, please. Okay, the Renopont way. Shortly, I will present you how we are going to promote energy refurbishment in Hungary. Next slide, please. We established the Hungarian one-stop shop brand, which is called Renopont. As you can see, this is our brand, our logo, and this will be our brand to support this our goals. Next slide, please. Okay, we have our service have two main pillars. First of the pillars is the basically website called renopont.hu. We just launched the website yesterday, so it's very fresh. And we will launch our first Budapest office on the 29th of November this year, so within 2 weeks. So basically, we have this website with many information tools, with lots of information and knowledge, and we have offices, basically community support center. We can call them like this way, where a trained professional consultants can give advice to the locals and to the residents. Okay, next slide, please. Yes, and basically my most important slide is about how do we operate, what kind of services we can provide. We will open our first office in the 8th district of Budapest. This is very important because in the 8th district there are many multi-apartment buildings in poor condition, and there are many energy poor citizens as well. So we thought that this will be the best location for our first office. We try to have a holistic approach and to provide integrated services. This means that first of all we will provide for the citizens general energy efficiency consultancy. This means that we are going to have energy saving calculators, database for about experts, energy auditors, technical advisors, technical experts, contractors. We will provide financial advisory, building renovation consultancy. We can provide sample documents, for example, contracts and so on. So this is general for everyone, single and multi-family apartment buildings, citizens, whether they are energy poor or not. But also we combined the PowerPro project, and Julian has already introduced the PowerPro project. Energy Club is also a partner organization of this project from Hungary. And we decided to integrate this PowerPro office basically to our Renopont office, so we can give specialized advice for citizens who are living in energy poverty. We have trained energy supporters, toolkits, and everything else. Our third big pillar is the partnership with the local government, with the municipality. This is very important because we will launch awareness raising campaigns within the citizens. We will promote these services and have info days, info nights together with the local government. Yeah, so this is very important when we talk about integrated services. And the fourth is the education and training. We also want to be kind of an education center for not only for citizens, but also for installers, for contractors, for other experts. We will have training for installers, we will educate customers and involve the local contractors and residents as well. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, we also developed a way or a scheme, a method for multi-apartment building renovation. One of our consortium members has more than 10 years of experience in multi-apartment building renovation, which we are using and we try to promote. Our first step is when we start a multi-apartment renovation is that we give information for the people. We invite them for a talk, for a informal meeting, and outline the options for them. There is no decision making. We just inform them. We invite external experts, financial, technical, legal experts, and give them information. After that when we have something, that okay, let's start with the renovation. We make a technical due diligence. We involve external experts and make a complete technical back check, basically, of the building. Then when we have the technical back check, then we do the budgeting. We make different scenarios, pros, cons, so the people and the residents, the flat owners can choose from different options. Then we do something which is called community planning, and our goal is to reach maximum stakeholder engagement. This means that we gather the people, everyone can say the options, what they favor, what they not favor, and we talk together, and we have different community planning methods, and we try to reach the 100% engagement. And then there is the decision-making process and the implementation, which is supported by technical supervisors and many external experts as well. Yes, I have one more slide, but because I have lack of time, I won't tell you that. You can read. It's about how the exact services of our Renopont office. So thank you very much. Hope it was not too long. And yes, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Gergely. It was not too long, and thank you to everybody. We are following our schedule very well, and we have now time to discuss. I would like to thank for the introduction of these different projects and initiatives, the whole variety of REELIH projects and the COMACT project, RenoHub project, and also the PowerPool. And I think this is already a very well developed portfolio of projects facing this problem. And I would like to encourage us to use the remaining time in the projects to intensify also the exchange between us and our projects, because I think we can really learn a lot from each other. In our now discussion, we can have some questions between us, but I also would like to ask the audience to write their questions in the chat that we can include them. The audience, unfortunately, is not visible for us. We are not knowing who is attending this and who is hearing us, but we try our best here to solve some questions. And I would like to ask, before I ask some general questions, the speakers again for some clarifications and additional informations, and would like to start with Peter. You mentioned that there is no affordable loan provided by banks. That means we can consider that in Bosnia-Herzegovina there are public funds available, but the private banks, they are not joining this. What do you think? What are the reasons, and how you can describe a little bit this situation?
Thank you for the question. That is the excellent question, actually. You see, the problem is not that the banks are not giving loans for general purposes. However, you should, as a tenant or resident or owner, consider taking a loan without any specific purpose, that is actually least favorable loan, to renovate your building. There are maybe in the last 2 years, the banks introduced some credit lines specifically for improving energy efficiency. They claim that's actually affordable, but that's not so much affordable, because simply the list of criteria you have to fulfill to apply for such credit is rejecting for most of the people. It could be easier if entire building could apply. I mean, all residents within one building could apply for a loan, because that actually makes more sense. However, that's hard to do, because again, each resident for itself must apply for a loan, get all paperwork done, and so on. So that's the problem. Also, those affordable energy efficiency loans are specifically intended to be used by people, by physical persons. I mean, residents, for each resident separately. It's not possible to apply, for example, entire building. So they are not. It's not that there are no loans at all, but there are no loans specifically for this purpose, except maybe those few banks offering loans for energy efficiency improvement in maybe last 2.5 years.
Okay, thank you for this explanation. I'm wondering that you are talking about that in residents taking individually a loan and not a building together, the homeowners together. I think this is an important issue, that, for instance, to refurbish something from the common property, we have a joint activity of all homeowners, and to pick them up with this interest, and that there are no loans available. That's, of course, a huge barrier in my mind.
That is a huge barrier. However, there are some examples of buildings which are renovated by residents with support of municipality. That is possible, but still it was financed partly by municipality, partly by individual loans taken by residents. The homeowner association is not recognized as a, legal entity. That is possible. It's not legal entity, and that is a great problem. I mean, in some parts of Bosnia, owners and residents must be organized in homeowners associations, but that's not a functional part. They must be organized because, I don't know, they have to clean around building or something like that. But legally, they are not eligible to apply for credit, for example, or loan or anything like that. They are not simply. They cannot go to the bank and take loan or something like that. Some organization can do that in their name if they are all signed a huge amount of paperwork. But that's the only solution for homeowners to act together.
Yeah, that's for me seems to be really a problem, and there you are still in the beginning of what we can maybe name as a refurbishment process in the country. Yeah, there are individual activities, and what the building itself needs is a comprehensive approach, and it's very difficult to implement this with this kind of financing. And yesterday in this financing session, Grzegorz Gajda from EIB, he mentioned and pointed out a really important thing, that if homeowner associations are getting loans from financial institutions, that there is no failure at all. That means on the other hand, we have really a convincing client, but on the other hand, we have a lot of problems to work with this. And I think this is a very important topic we also need to discuss in our projects and bring also to the financial institutions. Thank you, Peter, for that. We cannot go more in detail now.
It's okay.
But you mentioned a lot of important things, and there would like to go to Juliana, but she mentioned this central register of multifamily buildings, that you have somehow this register, and I'm interested in how can digitization helps us to provide better services and offers for homeowners, and how you maybe use this central register already in your work.
Okay, the register of multifamily apartment buildings is not finished. In Macedonia, there are 80 municipalities. We finished only in 32 municipalities, but most of the biggest municipalities in Skopje, where the majority of multifamily apartment buildings exist, and they are registered into that system. We are using this for now only for our purposes, and how to motivate the citizens, give them an information about the quality of the particular building, and give them an advices how much they will save the energy if they do certain parts of energy efficiency measures of that building. And now what we are doing through the REELIH project is to digitalize this system and all this data to make available to the general public. Now they are available through the web page, but are limited number of data that can be used. We assume that through this digitalized register of apartment buildings, all citizens can know what is the quality of the building where they are living. They can calculate how much savings they can make if they do a refurbishment of the building or some simple measures to be done. And also on the local government level can be used to make general calculations how much energy can be saved and also calculations about the investments. So it will be useful for all three main sectors in this area, main stakeholders in this area, from the homeowner association as well, from the business sector, and from the local government and national government as well. I mean, 32 municipalities are a big amount of data that can be used for the national planning.
Yeah, thank you for this remark and explanation. I think that could be really a good instrument to bring more transparency into this whole process, and also for the interaction between the involved stakeholders. Yeah. And maybe it can also be enlarged for other processes, very important for decision making in the refurbishment process. We can have this in mind. This decision making process needs to be more efficient, more transparent, and more accessible for everyone living in such kind of buildings. And this brings me to the services of Svetlana and your organization. Svetlana, you mentioned the Energy Efficiency Fund recently established in Ukraine. And that's the first offer, since I am surveying this for more than 20 years from the state, that there are financial means available for residents, and even different subsidy schemes also for low-income people. How you can use this instrument, and is it really fulfilling what it is promising? Yeah, can you offer refurbishment with this instrument and include low-income people? You need to unmute, please. Yeah. No.
Thank you for the question, and please look to the chat. There are some questions to our speaker from the chat. Please see, and I will answer to your question. It is not the first practice, energy efficiency fund in Ukraine. The first practice was a special program warm credits. The main obligation of this program was to take loan, and we in Ukraine have very high interest rate. It was very stopful for the homeowner association and building cooperatives. But the first homeowner association who had these loans then used it the same banks for second and more short time for to have these warm credits when 40% was covered by grant from the state authority, and when the local municipality had also the possibility to make co-financing for homeowner association. The energy efficiency fund is second round, more complicated, more bureaucratic, more difficult for to using for normal homeowner association. Now, thanks to the COMACT project, we have the possibility to help to our homeowner association to submit to such energy efficiency fund. But like critic, I would like to tell that they have a lot of money, and money is not serving for homeowner association thanks to this bureaucracy and thanks to this difficulty to normal homeowner association to submit good application. And such resource center as our is helping to do this. And of course, maybe some other resource center is existing in other city, but this is one from the bad side of this of work energy efficiency fund, because the previous program was more easy to people. Yes, of course, it was very difficult to start. Everyone who is presenting here know how it is difficult to start, to take decision to start with energy efficiency renovation, but of course, government should know our critics. We passed our critics to our government, and this is short about energy efficiency fund and possibility of homeowner association to have the money from such fund.
Yeah. Thank you, Svetlana. I'm also looking on this fund for several years already, and I agree to this, what you mentioned. It is not so easy to apply for the money, and work what you are doing in Odessa, like a one-stop shop for the residents, is very necessary and helpful. And of course, the government needs to be to do more to make the money flow to the clients, and that there is less bureaucracy. I think this is a learning process. Ukraine starts with this relatively late, and I hope that it comes now to more projects in this funded by this financial instrument, and that there are more practical examples visible in the next time. You not mentioned the inclusion of the low-income people in your work. Is it could you manage this, that you also get buildings with low-income people, with a high share of low-income people, to apply for these funds? You need to unmute again. Svetlana, you need to unmute again.
They is working on the same condition like rich people. It is initiative of NGO, like to create special revolving fund in Ukraine, you know, such organization, on like to create special condition. And I would like to tell that in previous program, which had the name warm credit, when you had more people who has subsidy, you had increased amount of money for up to 70%, which was given as a grant from the state to such people. They used this special program for energy poor, but energy efficiency fund in Ukraine had the same condition for energy poor and for energy rich people, and only municipality can give special help. And you know that not many municipalities are transparent with this help. And yes, we have in Ukraine difficulty with energy poor people and with possibility for energy poor people. And thank you to COMACT project that we have this possibility to look for special option for energy poor people, to propose to energy efficiency fund to our municipalities and to our government.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for this amendments, Svetlana. I think there it is worth also to have a look on other countries. For instance, Lithuania, they started their renovation wave by giving subsidies, especially to energy poor people or with low incomes. That means they got 100% payment and subsidies for the refurbishment, and the renovation wave, the small wave in Lithuania started especially with this kind of buildings, and that was a motivation then to others to follow. And maybe there is some improvement in this fund necessary. I understood previously that they are giving the subsidies, but you are saying that they are not, and that means we have still the problem that buildings with a high share of low-income people cannot be included in this program so far. That's a pity, of course. You mentioned the two questions in the chat. I saw them, and I would like to ask Gergely. There's a question from Inga Rofbutas. How do you plan to secure sustainability of the one-stop in Hungary? I think this is a question we are all confronted if our projects are ending, how to go on and how to maintain the work and secure the work. I'm quite happy that we, in the meantime, are maintaining our networks quite well, but often for the projects, it means really a hard time if the project funding is stopped. And how, Gergely, how you would like to do this in your country? And in my interest is also a question, and you mentioned that you have no support program in Hungary. What at the end you can offer them in your advocacy and consultancy to the homeowners, and how you can solve the problem in this moment, in this difficult situation?
Mm-hmm. Thank you for the question, Inga and Knut. It's a very, very good question, actually. And this is one of our key issues we have to solve until our project ends in 2022 in November. So we have 1 year to solve this issue. We are working very hard on it. So far, our plan is to have a so-called freemium model, which is the mixture of free and premium services. We think that this is the way we can actually sustain our offices and our website and all our services. Our plan is to have free of charge services for energy poor citizens. This will be all for free, mainly education, free advisory, and so on. But we will also have so-called premium services for general customers who are willing to renovate their single family houses or multi-apartment buildings. These services will be like, for example, providing a technical inspector or providing a project manager who can facilitate the renovation process, and to provide financial services to basically to work as an intermediator in this, for example, in the loan process, in the financing process. And we think that from this income we can finance our offices and finance our small organization and the website. This would be the main income for us, and the second one would be that if we are big enough and we have many companies in our database, then we will ask them to pay a little contribution from the contractors, from the general contractors, basically. This would be the second source of income. And the third one could be donations and basically sponsorship from product owners and who are selling the windows, for example, and selling insulation materials and selling heat pumps or solar panels or etc. So this is the third one. And we also rely very much on our municipality partners. Obviously, they are not in the position to finance our operation, but for example, they can provide us very cheap offices, for example, on a very low leasing price. This can be also a big help for us. So basically, this is our four main sources for finance ourselves in the future. And for the other question, yes, it is a big problem that energy refurbishments are not supported governmentally or from the central government. But there are many local initiatives from municipalities, from NGOs, from foreign support centers, and from the European Union, which we can use. And also the Hungarian National Bank just announced a new program, which is called Green Loan. It is so the Hungarian National Bank, through the commercial banks, provides a very good loan with very good conditions and low interest rates, and fixed very low interest rate. And this is, for example, one of the sources we can rely on and use for the renovations. And we hope that maybe there will be some change in the Hungarian government. I mean, they will realize that it's very important issue and will give some financial aid for that and financial programs for that.
That's I also hope, because money is available and could be used, and this motivates me really to have a look in the long-term renovation strategy of Hungary, how this document is describing the situation, and what is the justification for not using this for a state support program so far. Thank you, Gergely, for your answer. And we have there another question from Andrew Pobelka. For me, this question seems really a little bit difficult for our round here, but because he is orientating on landlords. Yeah, that means to improve the energy efficiency of the rental housing stock. We of course need to note that we really have not a well-developed rental market in the countries here on the table. But Juliana is of course representing the very strong social and affordable housing sector from different Western European countries where we have private landlords or municipal landlords, cooperatives providing rental housing and also being engaged in the refurbishment of their buildings and their stocks. And that means the question of Andrew, is there any experience or suggestion on how to motivate landlords, owners, to improve the energy efficiency of the rental housing? That means if individuals are owning multifamily buildings, I guess this is the intention you have, Andrew, and what they are doing then. They for me, they are then the owner, and they need to take care for their property, and that's also a huge field in question. I would like to forward to answer this first, Julian, if you agree, and then I have a second question to you, Julian. You mentioned the specifics of your project and the rebound effect, and this brings us to how deep refurbishment needs to be, and also this urban area solutions. Do we not need to more include urban areas in the refurbishment project and have a more holistic view on buildings and urban quarters? And you are representing with Housing Europe, the so-called, I would like to name this institutionalized housing sector. You have municipal, private, cooperatives, owners renting out their flats, and this is a huge difference to the area we are here talking about. And I'm interested in what can we do that the interest of the atomized homeowners in Eastern Europe, especially Southeastern Europe, get more interest representation in Brussels. And I know that you and Housing Europe are thinking about this, but I see that only a few members from Eastern Europe are members of Housing Europe. What is your idea with regard to this? And then after your answer, maybe we can come to a conclusion where we all once again can reflect one question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Knut. First of all, the question of Andrew about how to motivate landlords or owners to improve energy efficiency of the rental housing. First of all, I mean, in the social housing sector, there's a natural motivation in the sense that the mission of social housing provider is to provide decent and affordable housing. And the definition of decency has evolved over time and now include clearly an energy performance component. So in the social housing sector, there's basically, it's something that we do anyway and as a social landlord. But if the question is looking at the private homeowners, what is the motivation? I mean, basically what we can say, we need a mix of regulation and funding. And on the regulation aspect, we know that, for instance, the European Commission is now looking at how to urge landlords, building owners to improve the energy performance of their dwelling. And the Commission is looking at what countries are doing. And for instance, they are looking at France, and France has introduced a new definition of what is a decent housing. And in this new definition, there's the obligation to have a minimum energy performance of F. So the G EPC G, so which is I think above 300 kilowatt per square meter, will not be allowed anymore from 2023. to be put on the market. So this is for the regulation part. For the financing part, the funding part, clearly we all know that payback time is a big barrier. So we need grants to reduce the burden for homeowners, whether they are sitting in their dwellings or whether they are renting out their dwellings. And so there's no way out. I mean, we need public funding in one way or another. So I think this is to answer in a very brief manner. To your question, Knut, about what can we do to, in face of those atomized homeowners to be more represented. And first of all, there is a European Federation of Property Owners, UIPI, with work quite a lot. So that's this kind of representation. But more generally, the question is how you can reach those 70% of homeowners in Europe. This is a big question for any policymakers. My understanding is that we need things like indeed homeowners association, which could have a legal entity, entity and way to work around that. We need more one-stop shops, as what we saw in Hungary today, but also in Spain, as I mentioned. We need intermediary in terms of funding that can reach out those people. So there are plenty of things that we can do at the local level, but we need at some point the political will to do that. I mean, because you need legislation that will actually give legal personality to homeowners association or cooperative. I mean, we have among Housing Europe a lot of housing cooperatives in Eastern Europe. So they have this legal entity, this personality, and this way of working together on behalf of their members. So, but you need at some point the government in your countries to say, okay, let's go for that. So yeah, I think this is it from my side.
Yeah, thank you, Julian. I fully agree with your explanations and also what you mentioned with regard to the representation of the interest. There needs to be more done. I hope that our initiatives and projects can contribute to this and bring this more on the table, as we are doing now in here with this workshop. And now I got the signal that we have some more minutes left, only 5 minutes. And I would like to ask everybody of you a question to a topic we not really stressed today, but we are, I think, clear about this and convinced that homeowner, housing administration and maintenance companies can play an important role to better administrate homeowner occupied buildings. And I would like to ask you one after the other in a one takeaway in 1 minute, how do you see to this and what is your position to this topic? I would like to start with Petter.
I'll try to be within a minute. It is important to legally enforce, at least in Bosnia and Herzegovina, for example. It's necessary to legally enforce homeowner associations to be formed, to be respected, and to be part of maintenance of buildings, and therefore it will become important part of building renovation. And that could put residents in position to negotiate about, I don't know, energy pricing or something like that. For example, for district heating, instead of per square meter to be billed per kilowatt hour that they spend. But that needs to be changed at the level of, well, state or at least entity or, I don't know, cantons, for example. And that could go hardly. Also, I must agree with Julian, who said actually that behavior needs to be changed. And that's something what homeowner associations can enforce or at least support, because in that way, some technical persons educated about energy efficiency could be involved as well.
Thank you. And let's continue with Juliana.
According to the law on housing in Macedonia, there are two options for organizing the homeowners. One is through the management company, another one is a homeowner association. Both are legal entities and needs to be registered at the central register of. And then now, according to the report of the Regulatory Commission of Housing, in 2019, there were registered 2,736 homeowner association, around 3,000. And during that year, 783 of them transfer to the and change the management and give the management to the companies. So that shows like a trend that people who are organizing themselves as a homeowner association to avoid any problems, they would like to transfer the management of the building to the specialized company that are offering more professional and more quality management of the buildings. Also, this helps a lot because the management company gives a kind of security, helps a lot in the energy efficiency measures. I'm thinking about the hard measures, refurbishment of the buildings, because the management companies can take a loan and guarantee for the loan and then do the refurbishment of the building through that loan. And one thing more, Habitat Macedonia has an experience to giving loan to the homeowner association, and that is the first time that the homeowner association is taking the loan. It was a good experience, and to motivate the homeowner association, we've established a guarantee fund and offered to the commercial banks because they are hesitant to give loans to the homeowner associations. Because of all these aspects that we've discussed before. And with this guarantee fund, we would like to motivate them to offer loans to the homeowner associations for refurbishment of joint premises in the buildings.
Okay, thank you, Juliana. I need to apologize, Svetlana, Gergely, and Julian. I cannot ask you this question because I got the signal that we now need to close our round. I would like to thank you again for your participation and engagement. I wish you all the best, and I hope that we continue our exchange. And I also thank the audience listening us, even if we not can see anybody who follows us today. But I wish you all a good day and further continuing of this excellent conference. All the best.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Goodbye.